I just talked about Rotten Tomatoes and how I believe that eventually, probably sooner than you think, they are going to get rid of user reviews. Got to get rid of that audience score. Because the only voice that matters is the voice of the mainstream critic. Your voice does not matter. They speak for you. Well, why I think that's going to happen for sure? Well, it's already happening in other mediums. So, Sony-owned Crunchyroll has disabled comments for user reviews. You can star it. You can leave a star, 2 out of 5, 5 out of 5. But if you want to give some context to why you feel that way, well, that is no longer allowed. This appears to be in response to, quote, review bombing to one property called Twilight Out of Focus. Don't know anything about that show, but apparently that show is getting bad reviews from people. And because of that, they are giving your reviews the axe. So this is a developing story because it's not just being done to user reviews. You also, according to CBR, can't leave a comment on their news articles. It's extended to their news articles as well. So you can't even, leave comments under those. And that's been happening quite a bit. A lot of the mainstream news sites don't allow that anymore. They used to, but they got rid of that as well. And it was always funny because a lot of the interaction that these articles would have gotten were from that. People coming back and commenting and arguing in comments or whatever. They got rid of that. Probably the most fun thing about, looking at articles back in the day was the comments on them. They got rid of that. One of the reasons they got rid of that is because people would call out their bullshit, and they couldn't have that, so they got rid of them. And it looks like that was probably happening over here, too. They would post some woke article or post something and be all for it, and people would call them out or point out mistakes, so they got rid of the comments. I think eventually every platform is going to get rid of user comments. I think eventually it'll happen over here on YouTube as well. Leave a comment, right? Like, they're going to get rid of that. You already have the option to turn them off. I don't even think that should be a thing, but you can turn off comments, likes. They already got rid of dislike. That's gone. So them getting rid of comments, that wouldn't shock me. What they'll probably do is fix it so that only I can see them and you wouldn't be able to see what anybody else is saying. Because you can still leave a dislike. You just can't see it. They still exist. So this is what people are using. This was a response that somebody got from Crunchyroll support. And isn't just bounding in the comments talking about this. IGN has commented on it. CBR has an article on it. And Bounding in the Comics has an article on it. And there's also information over on social media where people are discussing it. So I do think that this is something that is moving forward. I'm just surprised they didn't make... See, I don't see a press release. Everybody's using the customer support screenshot. So I do apologize for the inconvenience. To maintain a safe, respectful, and high-quality environment for our community, we have decided to remove all existing comments and disable the ability to comment on our platforms, including comments on news articles. This change helps us reduce harmful content, prevent misinformation, and improve overall user experience. If you have any further questions or need assistance, please let us know. I find that funny. Improve user experience. You're getting rid of the community aspect of your website in a lot of ways because the community could go in there and interact with it and talk with each other. How does that improve the overall user experience? The only experience it improves is the writer of the articles that no longer have to see people pointing out their BS or context to a review that's not the mouthpiece of mainstream critics. So this is very disappointing, in my opinion, and it's funny that it comes after Sony takes ownership of Crunchyroll. Make no mistake, this is a Sony decision. So that's what's going on there. It appears to be in response, like I said, to this, whatever this show is, the love anime Twilight or something, Twilight Out of Focus. I don't know anything about this show, and I don't care about it, to be honest. But there's all kinds of shit going on there. Apparently AI generated translations, which honestly I welcome, because localizers can't help but interject their bullshit into things, and I'm not the only one tired of that. Other people are saying that it's got LBGT stuff in it, and that's why it was getting review bombed. All I know is the comments are turned off, and that's stupid. It shouldn't be the case. And this is funny because it comes at a time when apparently merchandise sales are going off of a cliff. Western Industry Insider warns anime content bubble is probably going to burst soon, says merch sales have fallen off of a cliff. And this comes from this guy right here, Justin Sevicus. He is somebody who founded Anime News Network, at least according to this Bounding in Comics article. He is the founder of Anime News Network and Media OCD. And this is what he had to say. I still have 2 meetings to go this AX, but so far my takeaways are, number 1, anime content bubble is probably going to burst soon. Way too many shows and nobody can handle it. Not fans nor industry. 2, anime sales have fallen off of a cliff, especially figures. Everyone's kind of glum. Got the emoji face there. I'm just adding that glum word to it because of the face. So we're heading towards another 2007. If you don't know, it was called the Anime Crash. 2007, Funimation, I believe, went in and pretty much, so when everyone was cutting back, because if you remember, if you were a fan of anime back in the 90s over here in America, VHS tapes were everywhere, DVDs were everywhere. They were very expensive, but things are starting to pick up. But it wasn't just Funimation. You had a bunch of other companies releasing anime. And there was a crash in the industry. Funimation went in and actually bought everything up. When everybody else was cutting back, they were buying. And that's what led to them being the number one, pretty much only anime distribution people in the West, was that crash, because they were buying when everybody was running off. And it kind of led to a monopoly on their part. That's why Crunchyroll is pretty much number 1 now. They got so big that no one else could move in. They have no competition. It's kind of sad, to be honest. Maybe what we need is another anime crash so another company can do what they did and give them some solid competition. Just a thought. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. What are your thoughts on that? That's an interesting conversation. So he says, this looks very different, although both were heavily caused by macroeconomic conditions, to be honest. He says, the merch thing is interesting. Why is that? High inflation and less time spent at home post-coof. So, yeah, inflation's a problem. People are tightening their belts a little bit because it's getting pretty hard out there for a G. And they can't buy Funko Pops and anime figures anymore, which, are big sellers. Merchandise is where the majority of the money comes for this industry. That is a very valid point, because of piracy, a lot of manga and anime, there's not really much money to be made from them, themselves. So to kind of subsidize that, they put a lot of merch out there and people gobble it up, and that's where the majority of the money comes from. They make cheap merch, they make money, and everyone's happy. And if that cuts down, that is bad news, because that's what keeps everything going. Says, what do you think the burst looks like? Probably cutting the number of new shows each season, which is still 50. We might not even notice. And that's the news there. Very interesting. We'll see what happens there, but I don't know, man. It's tough to say. The merch sales have gone down, apparently, but I don't think interest in the medium is down. They're just not making a lot of merchandise money, which is honestly what they need to really move forward, because I don't believe that people are getting sick of anime. If anything, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger because it's a better alternative to Hollywood. It's there. It's easy to jump in and consume it. I don't think the bursting that 2007 brought, I don't think you quite see that with this, because it's not the content or anything. And in fact, the content's easier to get now, because before you had to buy 3-episode VHS tapes, which were very expensive if you wanted to consume a show. You get stuff, people take for granted how quick you get a show now. Before it took forever to get 3 new episodes on something, because you had to buy them on tape or DVD eventually. And even then, the DVDs were still overpriced because they only give you like 2 or 3 episodes of something. And now it's in a lot of ways much better, but interesting stuff. We'll see what happens. It's definitely something to monitor. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments below. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. If you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here, I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my locals.